I'm going to spend the next hour telling you one story. All I need you to know about that story, before I tell you it, is that I've made the whole thing up. So just remember that. Up until this exact date last year, I was in a relationship with a girl called Roxy. Panto audience. Where's your relationship? It's behind you. We broke up on the 15th of January last year. However, it sort of started a little while before that. It started in New York City, the breakup. We were in New York for my 30th birthday. My birthday is the 11th of January. We'd flown to New York on the 4th of January. We're going to be there for 8 days, fly home on the 12th. And on the 14th of January, I was going to have my birthday party in Liverpool with all my family and friends. That was the plan. But on the first night of that 8-night trip to New York, I found out that Roxy had been stealing from me. I know. Pretty difficult thing to deal with at the time. What happened was we landed in New York about 5 o'clock and we went for some dinner and some drinks after we checked into the hotel, and we had some more drinks, and we were having one final drink in the hotel bar before we went to bed. And I checked my Santander app to see whether I'd been paid for the shows I'd done in December at the comedy club, to see how much money I'd have to spend while we were in New York. I don't check my banking app very often because it's never good news. Like, I'm doing okay now. Things are good, but I've still got PTSD from when that wasn't the case. And even now, I never open the app and go, oh my God, where the fuck has that $2,000 come from? But I do go, what the fuck did I do last night? Like, it's a lot easier to forget stuff you've spent than stuff you've earned. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one ever... I've woke up before and been like, oh my God, I blacked out last night. I don't remember the last 3 hours. God knows how much money I spent. But I've never woke up and thought, oh my God, I blacked out last night. I don't remember the last 3 hours. God knows how many invoices I sent. That's just not something that happens. I don't like looking at it. It's the same reason I don't open me mail. Why would anyone ever? Who's writing you a letter to tell you good news? A letter is bad news. It's a threat of... A brown envelope with a red stamp on it. No, keep it away. I'm not even looking at the closed envelope, okay? Put it in the fucking bin. That's not a birthday card that got lost in the post, is it? That's I owe some cunt money. That's what's in that. If debt collection companies want their money off me, get clever about it. Start sending your letters in blue or pink envelopes. Clintons can open a debt collection wing. Just a note to say, you forgot to pay, we're taking the sofa away. So I checked my Santander app, sat in the bar, and that's who I bank with, Santander. A lot of people believe, mistakenly, that I bank with Nationwide. Because a few years ago, for about 18 months, I was in the Nationwide TV advert for a while. I was the guy from the Nationwide advert. I never wanted to do that. You don't want to do an advert as a comedian. You lose a bit of your integrity. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't do the advert because I bank with them. I did the advert because they paid me £26,000. And I'm very much for sale. Do you know what I mean? I was 16 grand in debt at the time. I didn't really have much of a choice to do the advert. I didn't want to do the advert, but I didn't have a choice. 16 grand in debt. I paid my debts off with the money, and I had 10 grand left. And I had my girlfriend in one ear, and she was like, we should buy a house. We should buy a house. And I had my dad in the other ear. He was like, lad, start a pension. You should start a pension. I wanted to just have 10 grand for a bit. I don't know whether anyone here grew up with absolutely fuck all, but 10 grand was such an impossible amount of money. I couldn't believe I had it. I just wanted to have it. And if you want to have 10 grand, you can't spend any of it because then you haven't got 10 grand anymore. It costs you 10 grand to have 10 grand. That's what I did. I just left it in the bank. Sometimes I'd open the app, look at it, wank, and close the app again. Sometimes I would go into Santander and just get the woman behind the counter to check me balance for me. I remember one time she was like, you know you can do this at the machine. I was like, I know, but I want you to say it. One time, because I was the guy off the advert, I was on my way into my branch of Santander on Lord Street in Liverpool. And on my way in, someone took a photograph of me. They tweeted it, tagged nationwide. With the caption, is this your boy? So we're in New York, and I check me Santander app, and at the top of my app was me pending payments. And there was one I didn't recognise. It was from Urban Outfitters for £140. And I know I've never shopped there. So it took me back, and I was like, that's weird. That's really strange. And I said something to this effect out loud. I was like, Urban Outfitters, Roxy, I don't shop there. 140 quid here on my app. Wonder what that is. And she shit herself. Imagine how much she panicked knowing what she had been doing. And I know she panicked from what she said. Her brain must have gone, oh my God, he is going to figure this out. He's going to figure out what you've been doing. He knows. Maybe he already knows. This is bad. You need to say something. It's been too long since you've said anything. You need to open your mouth. You need to say something, anything now. Just say something because he's going to figure it out. If you're silent for any longer, you need to say something. What she said was, that's that weird, that! That is weird, that! Because that's where I got my trackie from. She should never have told me that's where she bought her tracksuit from. She should never have told me that if she wanted any chance of getting away with this. Because she half incriminated herself straight away. It was the first clue to her deceit. Like if I'd come home from work and the living room was like smothered and smeared with shit on every wall. And I went, babe, the living room is smeared with shit. You know what's gone on? If she went, that's that weird, that! Because I have had a bad stomach all day. For full context on the tracksuit she was talking about, in the build-up to the Christmas just before this, Roxy had told me she wanted me to buy a juicy couture tracksuit. You could argue that should have been a red flag in itself. I didn't know I was dating a slag from 2009. But, as it turns out, I was in a relationship with a time-travelling whore and I had no idea. And I did get her the tracksuit, by the way. I got her the tracksuit for Christmas, but I got the wrong size because it was on the wrong hanger. The hanger said the right size, but the thing was on the wrong hanger in JD Sports. That is funny, that lad, isn't it? JD Sports. I was a 29-year-old man and I got me girlfriend a present she'd asked for from JD Sports. There's something just not fucking right about that. Happy Christmas, love. There's your footy boots. Enjoy them. Why didn't you open the next one? Ah, see? You didn't know you were getting the shin pads as well, did you? You're a lucky girl. I got the wrong size. So on the 2nd of January, 2 days before we flew to New York City, we took the tracksuit back to get the right size. However, they didn't have the right size in stock, so I got a full refund. And I said, I'll get you this online in a few days. She said, sound. We then went to do some New York shopping for New York, because I needed like different clothes. You need warmer clothes. New York's very cold and snowy in January. So I needed a pair of boots. I only wear trainers normally. So I went to Doc Martens and I was trying a pair of boots on. And while I was trying them on, she went, babe, can I be a bit cheeky? Do you mind if I'm a bit cheeky? I don't even know if this is cheeky or not, but I don't want you to think I'm being cheeky, but do you mind if I'm just a little bit cheeky? And I was like, what is it, babe? You know you can have anything you want if I can give you it. Just spit it out, what is it? And she goes, well, look, I know I asked for the trackie for Christmas, but these boots would be a much more practical purchase. Like, I love these boots. And the Fairline, they'd be so comfy and they'd be really warm for New York. I know I asked for the trackie, but these would just be a better purchase just for us going to New York in a few days. I'm just wondering, they're about the same price. Could I have these instead of the trackie? And I was like, I don't care. Yeah, it's not cheeky. Like, doesn't make any difference to me. It's the same price, doesn't matter. Happy wife, happy life. You can have it. Of course you can. Get the boots. And I bought her the boots. We finished our New York shopping, and then we went to watch the Liverpool game. Liverpool were playing Chelsea, and we watched it at a bar called McCooley's in Liverpool. Liverpool were playing away as well. It was at Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge is a really difficult place to go for a football team, especially like when Chelsea are doing okay, and it can be quite difficult to get any sort of positive result there, especially from a rival team like Liverpool. Their fans tend to be quite up for it, and Liverpool managed to go 2-0 up in that game, thanks to goals from Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. But then Chelsea got 1 goal back, and then a second goal back, and the game finished 2-2. And even though Stamford Bridge is notoriously a difficult place to go to, as I said, due to the context of the season and the fact Liverpool were in such a close and tight battle with Manchester City, especially given we were 2-0 up in the first half, that did feel more like we dropped 2 points than won a point. Anyway, I'm making this up. I love the footy. It's the thing I love most in life. Like, really, it's just a big part of who I am. And I like to consider myself a very attentive boyfriend and a very generous boyfriend. I know I'm biased. I know it serves me well to think of myself that way. And I've definitely been an arsehole in relationships in the past. But I've tried to work on myself. And if I'm in a relationship with someone now, consider myself generous. If I've got something and they want it and I can give them it, they can have it. And with my attention, if my partner needs me to be there for them, I'm there for them. I like to be an attentive partner. I consider myself one. When the footy's on, that goes out of the window for a bit. Just leave. Like, if you're in a relationship with someone who loves the footy, just fucking leave them alone. Just please. Just trust me and leave them alone. Like, my girlfriend trying to get my attention while the match is on is like my stepchild trying to show me a drawing he's done of his real dad. That goes for everyone in this room, by the way. If you're in a relationship with someone who loves footy and you're not that arsed about it, you know when the match is on, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Leave them alone for the entire time. You've got no idea how not interesting you are for 2 hours. 2 hours is the 15 minutes before the game, and half-time as well. Half-time is not your time. That is still our time. Is it half-time, babe? Look at this meme. No! I'm listening to Graham Souness be vaguely racist. Will you shut up? I think Roxy knew that about me quite well, and I think she chose her moment very carefully for what she did next. I think she was very deliberate with when she chose to do this. Watching a match, and she goes, just so you know, babe, I've ordered myself that trackie. The trackie that we didn't get before, I've ordered myself that trackie. I've ordered the juicy trackie. I've got it on next day delivery because it's going to come tomorrow on the 3rd, and then we fly on the 4th, and I want it for the plane. I want to be really comfy on the plane because I struggle to get comfy on planes, and it's a long flight to New York, and I just want to be comfy. So I've got the trackie on next day delivery coming tomorrow, and I was a bit skinned because of Christmas, so I've used Klarna. If you don't know what Klarna is, it's a buy now, pay later thing. You pay in installments instead of one go. I think she was hoping that wouldn't go into my brain because I was watching the match. The reason it went into my brain is because I couldn't believe she thought I'd give a fuck. I remember her telling me this fucking long-winded story and me going, cool, good for you. Liverpool are playing Chelsea here. Graham Souness is talking about Paul Pogba. Can you shut up and let the man speak? So, 4th of January. We've landed in New York, gone for dinner, drinks, and more drinks. And we're now in the hotel bar having one final drink before bed. Oh my God, Urban Outfitters, I don't shop there. I wonder where that's come from. That's the weird ass where it got me shocking from. And I went, have you used my card to get the trackie? And she went, I must have done it by mistake. It must have been a mistake because, like, your card is saved on my phone. I was like, why is that? She goes, because, like, I book stuff for us, but you pay for it. Like, normally when we're going somewhere, you pay for us to go to, like, the hotel or whatever. But I book it, so it's just been easier to just save it so I can just click it for future stuff. Like, it's right next to mine. And I must just click the wrong one when I was ordering the trackie. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Just pay me back after New York whenever you've got it. No worries. I went to have a sip of my drink. In the very next moment, everything changed because I realised everything. And I say a moment because that's not a specific amount of time. And I can't tell you whether it took a second or 5 or 10 or 30. I just know it was a moment. I realised absolutely everything. I realised she was lying. I realised she'd been stealing from me. And I'm not known as a particularly emotionally confessional comedian. But there's no way for me to tell you the story properly without letting you know it broke me heart. I was very heartbroken. Destroyed me. I felt very sad, angry, confused as to why she'd done it. And it's very difficult to feel like you're not enough for someone that you feel like you've given more than enough to. The thing that made me realise everything was that I remembered that she said she used Klarna. So it didn't make sense. You might think when you have a moment of realisation like this that your brain gives you the information in like almost like breadcrumbs. If it was a film, I think it would be portrayed that way. If this was a scene in a film, me and her in the hotel bar, the director would probably present it like that, bit by bit, breadcrumbs. You wouldn't hear my character speak, but you would hear his thoughts. And he'd be like, oh, hang on. She said she used Klarna. But if she used Klarna, then it would be a partial payment that would come out and not the full cost of the trackie. And that, she said that straight away after buying the tracksuit. So she was lying then. So she knew she was lying. And if she's lying about that, what else is she lying about? Maybe she's been doing this for a while. Maybe she's not with you because she loves you. Maybe she doesn't love you. Maybe she's with you because things are going okay. She knows you don't check your bank. And she can get away with stuff like this. Maybe everything you know about this girl is a lie. Is her name even Roxy? The truth is, you don't get the information in breadcrumbs. It's not breadcrumbs. You know what it is? It's bread. You get a full loaf all at once. You don't get it bit by bit. Your brain goes, ah! It's like trying to, like a French baguette, deep throat. Do you know when you have a horrible moment where you realise something terrible and you get a lump in your throat and a pain in your chest? It's a foot-long subway being forced down. That's why you can't breathe. If you step off a curb onto a road and a bus is coming at you, your brain doesn't go, oh. There's a bus coming there. And buses hurt. Would be a bit of a problem if that bus hit me. I might be seriously injured. I might die if that bus hits me. I might want to think about getting out the way of this bus. I need to either run that way or step back on the curb that way. But I need to do one of the two because standing here is going to get me really hurt or maybe killed. Your brain doesn't do that. Your brain goes, bus, fuck! In that moment, I knew everything. I knew it. I knew what she'd been doing. But I wanted to hear her say it. And I decided to play with her a bit. I acted like... Do you ever watch like an old detective show? Like an episode of like Columbo? And Columbo has figured out the entire thing. He solved the case. He knows everything. But he's not going to let the criminal know he knows everything yet. He plays with them a bit. You know what I mean? That's what I did. I went, oh, so you just used me bank card accidentally? Did you just click the wrong one? Okay, no worries, that's fine. Cool, thank you. There is just one more thing. Because you said you used Klarna. And if that was the case, only a partial payment would have come out and not the full price of the tracksuit. I didn't do the voice at the time. And full disclosure, I've never seen an episode of Columbo. She broke pretty much straight away. She told me what she'd done. She admitted the truth, or at least part of it. She had a moment of realisation. I seen it on her face where she knew she could have no way out. I seen her face go, boss, fuck! She said, yeah, I used your card, I knew what I was doing, etc. I was like, right. I was very angry and upset and confused. And I was like, right, let's go back to the hotel bar. Let's just go back. And she goes, talk to me. I was like, no, I don't like fighting in public. I don't like doing that. Do you know, like when... I just hate being that couple in public who are having a fight and you can feel the whole bar like looking at you. It's just... So I was like, no, we'll go back to the hotel. I went, can I have the check, please, mate? And I nailed my drink and we went back to the hotel room. And when I was in the hotel room, I felt every emotion that you imagine I felt. If you can think of an emotion, I felt it. Anger, confusion, pain, sadness. All of it. I was crying. I was screaming at times. I was quiet in other moments. I was absolutely all over the place. I couldn't get my head around it. The main question I had was, have you done this before? Have you done this before? Is this the only one? Is there more I need to know about? Have you done this before? And she said, I promise I did it one other time. I got makeup on Boxing Day, but that is it. I was like, what? You got makeup on Boxing Day? I got you a makeup gift card for Christmas. What? You told me that you get your makeup from Selfridges, and I got you a Selfridges gift card that I told you was for makeup for Christmas Day. She went, I know, I'm disgusted with myself. What do you mean disgusted? It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no punchline to this bit. There isn't one. I've tried to write one. I started writing this show in July. I decided to tell this story in July. And since July, I have tried and tried and tried to write a punchline for this bit. But there's only so far comedy can take you as an art form. If you go and see a lot of comedy, you'll know. It's a very common comedic technique for the comedians to go, this person did this. That's like, and then they give you something more ridiculous, and that gets the big laugh, because the thing they suggest is more ridiculous than what actually happened. There's nothing more ridiculous than what she did. I've tried 27 different punchlines to this. They don't work. That's like you getting me a lawnmower for Christmas and me using your bank card to hire a gardener. See, fuck all, it gets nothing! I said, go and sleep in the other bed. Lucky for for us, there was a spare bed in the hotel room, like another one. So I told us to sleep in that, and I got in the bed, and I text 2 people straight away. I needed to talk to someone. I only text 2 because I didn't want everyone to hate her. I didn't want my whole family. I didn't want everyone to know what she'd done in case I stayed with her. In case I found a way to forgive her and got over it. I was like, I don't want all my family and friends to know what she'd done, because then they might not be able to forgive her for it, even if I do. I text 2 people because I needed to talk about it. I text my best mate. We'll call him Carl. And I trusted his judgment to trust me. If I forgave her, he'd forgive her. I trusted that. And the other person I texted was her mum, Colleen. And I texted her because I wanted her to hate her. I felt like I was allowed that. I was like, hi, Colleen. Just so you know, here's what your daughter's done. I'm going to let her stay in the hotel room tonight because I'm not a monster. It's midnight. It's New York. But tomorrow, she needs a flight home. And I'm not paying for it. So you're going to have to, because you can't get them on fucking Klarna. I went to sleep. Had a bad sleep. I woke up. Still angry, still confused, still upset. I'm very, very, very hungover. And I realised I had 3 options. Option 1, I could stick to me guns and send Roxy home and stay in New York on my own and do everything we planned to do together on my own. Option 2, I could go home with her, just write the whole trip off. How is this trip ever going to recover from this? Come back to New York a different time on my own and enjoy it properly, because I'm not going to be able to do it now. Option 3, keep her with me. Keep her in New York with me and do everything we've planned and pretend this hasn't happened for now, put it to the back of my mind and deal with it when we get home after my birthday party. And I thought, if I'm going to get over this in a month or 2, I'll regret not staying in New York and enjoying it if I manage to forgive her and stay with her. I chose option 3. Do you know what? Even though we eventually broke up, I can look back on that decision and hand on heart. We broke up, it got really toxic and awful at times, and we both said things we definitely regret. Even with every decision that followed that one, I can hand on heart tell you, that is the worst decision I've ever made. What was I fucking thinking? What did I think was going to happen? It would just be fine. Do you know what? Because we were in a hotel room about the size of this stage, and that's not an exaggeration. It was fucking tiny. She was always just there. And it was really hard, because at times I started to feel sorry for her. I didn't know what I needed or wanted from her. At one point, she, quite clearly was, pitying me, and that gave me the biggest ick you can imagine. She was like, "Are you okay? How do you feel right now? Are you okay?" I was like, "Stop it. Stop doing that. Don't do that. Do not do that. Just act normal. If we're going to act normal, let's just act fucking normal." And then she'd act normal, and I'd be like, "Can you show some remorse?" We went to watch a Knicks game, a basketball game, the New York Knicks, and I love all sport. I love big sporting events. It's just my thing. Football's my main thing, but any sport, I fucking love it, especially iconic moments and iconic venues. We watched the New York Knicks at the most famous sports arena on the planet, Madison Square Garden. On top of that, they were playing their biggest rivals, the Boston Celtics. I was there for that. Tickets were $400. But I thought, you know what? How often do you get to turn 30 when the New York Knicks are playing the Celtics around your birthday? And you get to see this massive rivalry game at the most famous sports arena in the world. I'm going. And at one point, the New York Knicks, the team I was supporting, the home team, were 30 points down. And with seconds to go, they'd clawed most of it back. They were only 1 point down. 29 points they'd clawed back. And at the buzzer, they won. If you don't know what at the buzzer means, in basketball, it means they have a shot. And while the ball is in mid-air, the timer goes out, the game's over. In basketball, that shot still counts, just that one. And it went in. And it was worth 2 points, and they won by 1. And oh my God, Madison Square Garden went ballistic. Everyone was screaming, singing, shouting, and laughing at the Boston Celtics fans. Until the day I die, I will get to say I was there for that. And I felt nothing! I felt like I was watching Southampton against Aston Villa. In a fucking pre-season friendly. We went to see a Broadway show. One of my favourite things to do is to see musical theatre. I love it. It's one of my favourite things. First time I ever went to see one was 5 years ago, and I fell in love with the genre. The way I went to see the first one is how I go and see all of them now. I don't look into it at all before I go and see it. I don't want to know the songs, and I don't want to know the story. All I want to know, ideally, is the title. Anything else, I'd rather not. I just want to go completely blind and enjoy the show. The first one I ever went to see was Hamilton. Before I went to see it, it's amazing. Before I went to see it, I thought it was about the Formula One, and it's not. The only other thing I knew about it is it had an all-black cast, and I was like, of course it has, he's black. It's actually about the American Civil War. The one I went to see last year is called Chicago. It's one of the longest and most famous running musicals ever. And I'm going to ruin the plot of Chicago for you. If anyone's seen it, you can just verify that what I'm about to say is the real plot of Chicago. Because anyone who hasn't seen it would be forgiven for thinking I'm making this up for comedy effect. And I'm not. The main character in Chicago is a woman. I forget her name. To the woman over there somewhere who's just gone, I think it's Roxy. You would think I'd remember that, wouldn't you? Does that look like a juicy sacky as well? That's weird, isn't it? It's weird how things work out. The main character in Chicago, Roxy, I'll take your word for it. Early on in the play, she kills someone. She commits a murder, right? And the main plot of Chicago is she or is she not going to go to prison for that murder? Her trial is a big part of the whole show. That's the main plot. There's a side plot, though, because Roxy in Chicago has got a husband. His name is Amos, and he is lovely. Everyone watching the show, it's your favourite character. He's dead sound, and he loves her. He would give her the moon and the stars if he could. He would do anything for her, be there for her through thick and thin. He just adores her. And Roxy keeps cheating on him and spending all his money. Did you hear what I've just fucking said? Do you know what I watched? I watched Americans sing and fucking dance about what I was going through. While sat next to her, while she ate Pringles that cost me $18. It gets to the interval. It's a long play, so there's an interval. And all the actors leave the stage and it goes to darkness, and most of the people in the theatre go to the bar or the toilet. I didn't move. My eyes didn't move. I was just focused on the fucking centre point of the stage, and I was fucking raging. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And she goes, come on, let's just go. I said, no, we're going nowhere. And she goes, why? We're literally watching our lives. It's horrific. And then I said maybe the most pretentious thing I'll ever say. I went, we're staying right where we are, because I know how the theatre works. She goes, what do you mean? I was like, I know how it works. She's been set up as the villain. Everyone hates her. We're all watching her and thinking she's an arsehole, which means she's going to get her comeuppance in the second half. So far, she's getting away with it. She is literally getting away with murder, but that can't last. She's going to get fucked. She's going to end up in prison for life or dead. Something awful is going to happen to this fucking cunt, and I need to see it happen to her so that I know it might happen to you as well. I wouldn't clap, by the way, because that doesn't happen. I stayed and watched every single second of Chicago, hoping something like that would happen, and none of it happens. No retribution, no comeuppance. No, she doesn't even stand on a fucking plug. She doesn't stub her toe. She comes out of prison. She gets out of prison, right? And the last time we see her fella, he goes up to her and he's like, "Ah, yeah, you're all right. Listen, I love you very much, and I know you've cheated on me. I know you've spent all my money, but I've decided I'm going to forgive you. Because I love you. You killed someone as well. You didn't even tell me about that. But it doesn't matter. None of it matters because love is enough. I'm going to choose to get over it. So, should we be together?" And she looks this man who stood by her in the eye and basically says, "Nah, lad." And he walks off the stage and you never see him again. And then she becomes a star. She gets a job in a play, in the play. It's a play within a play. She gets a job in a play and gets to tell her story and gets roses thrown at her feet and everyone loves her. She's in a play, she's like lit in, and she's telling her story as well. The audacity. Yeah, I killed someone and then I got away with it and now I'm out and I'm telling my story because I'm fucking talented as fuck and my name's Roxy. Aren't I amazing? I watched every second of that. That's a lie. I watched more than every second of it. I was the last person sat in the theatre because I was hoping it was going to be like a Marvel film. And she'd die after the credits. That was the 9th of January. My birthday was the 11th. It wasn't very good. We flew home on the 12th. On the way out and on the way back, we flew with the same airline. We flew with Aer Lingus. It's Ireland's international transatlantic airline. And on the way back, we were on the same plane, in the same seats, with the same crew and the same pilot. Because Ireland's international airline, I've got 1 plane and 5 staff. The flight back was horrific. I really struggled with it because it was such a stark contrast of emotions from when we flew out. Being in the same seats with the same people. Like, on the way out, I was going to my favourite place in the world with the woman I thought might be my wife and the mother of my kids one day, excited for my 30th birthday. And I was flying home knowing what I thought was everything and just really, really, really struggling with it. Everything she did on the plane ride home drove me mad. At one point, I just heard her breathing. I was like, ugh. And she sat there going, I can't get comfy. I thought that's what you bought the fucking trackie for. We landed at 6 a.m. on Thursday, the 13th of January. And on Friday, the 14th, I was going to be having my birthday party with all my family and friends. And I was dreading my birthday party. I was going to have to lie to all my family and friends, look them all in the eye and go, yeah, New York was amazing. We're dead happy. It was great. I don't like lying to people I love. I find it very difficult, and I don't know how people do it, really. When we landed, I got back home, and then I had to go straight to the podcast studio. I had to go and record the podcast we do, Have a Word. And I went to do Have a Word, and when I came back from the studio, we had to do our COVID tests, me and Roxy, because January of 2022, it was still a big part of international travel. Testing for COVID on your way out and on your way back in was a big thing. So we did our tests. I did mine first, and I was negative. And then I've never been that happy in my entire life. I've seen Liverpool Football Club win the Champions League twice. Nothing compared to that. When she turned her test round and it had 2 solid red lines on it, it must be what it's like when you've been trying for a baby for 5 years. That's how I reacted. I was like, no, are you sure? Don't get excited, let's do another one and double check. She wasn't happy with how excited I was. She's like, why are you so happy? I'm going to be dead sick. I was like, I know, yeah. She goes, why are you happy? I was like, well, this is actually perfect. I know it doesn't seem like that right now, but it is. It means you can go away for a week. I get a bit of space. You can go and isolate at your mum and dad's. Since I found out what you'd done, you've been right next to me. And I need some space from it to deal with it. And also, it means I can go to my birthday party and not lie. It's such a relief. I can tell them the truth without telling them the whole truth. I can tell them a truth. I can go, what? Roxy, she's not here because she's got COVID. That's the truth. She was like, that's a good plan and everything, but I don't think you've thought it all the way through. I haven't got a bedroom at my mum and dad's anymore. I live with you, and they've turned my old bedroom into an office. I was like, I know. Got a nice big garage though, haven't they? Have a good week, Dobby. Fuck off. And I went to my birthday party, and as people arrived, I was very professional. I was like a politician who was remembered that one sentence they've got to say, no matter what the question is. And people arrived, I was like, hiya, lad, you all right? Thanks very much for coming. Well, Roxy, she can't be here because she's got COVID. She tested positive when we landed. That's why she's not here. Anyway, it is what it is. Let's have a fantastic night. Hiya, love, you all right? Thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it. Oh, I will open that one, a blue one. Yeah, thanks for coming. What, Roxy, she can't be here. She's got COVID. She tested positive when we landed. It is what it is. Let's have a good night. We'll have a dance in a bit. Okay, thank you. Cheers. And I did that as people arrived. And now into my birthday party, I'd had 4 old-fashioned cocktails, 4 bottles of Peroni, and 6 or 7 shots of baby Guinness. At that point, I got the DJ to turn the music off. I plugged a mic in and told everyone everything. You can clap, I get it. The next morning when I woke up, I didn't feel very good about what I'd done. I had a lot of regret because in my head, I still loved this girl at the time. I was like, I still want to figure out a way to be with her. And that's going to be so much harder now that everyone knows. I was like, oh, I felt awful. I went to my cousins to talk it out. Very close to me cousin. She's like a sister to me. Her name's Dolly. And her fiancé, Luke, I'm very, very close with him as well. Dolly did a really good job of like devil's advocate in the whole situation. Every time I gave Dolly a reason I should leave Roxy, she gave me a reason I should maybe think about staying. And every time I gave her a reason I should stay, she would give me a reason I should maybe think about leaving. She did a really good job of balancing it. It was really useful for me. Luke. Pretty sure it was over. He said, lad, what are we even talking about? It's done, and you need to call it now. You are never going to be able to forgive someone for stealing from you. I said, that's not necessarily true. He goes, it is, especially you, lad. You're a comedian. You're going to be travelling the world. You work your arse off. When you've got a wife and kids, you need to be able to trust that wife with your kids and your finances at home. How are you ever going to be able to do that with this girl now? He said, also, I don't know whether you want to think about this while you're hungover, but she's definitely still lying. She will have done this more than she's admitted to. And I went, lad, she hasn't. I've checked. And he said, oh, good, right. You've checked your bank. I was like, no, but I've asked nicely. He said, lad, please check your bank now. I couldn't do it. I couldn't open the app. I couldn't look. It was too hard to look. It was too hard to know what I might find. And I I struggle to do it at the best times. I can't explain anxiety to someone who's never suffered with it, but if you do, you'll know what that's like. I couldn't do it. If you want the truth, Glasgow, I still haven't. It's too hard. What I did was I text Roxy. I said, look, I know you've begged me to stay with you, but I'm struggling. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to forgive this. It's so confusing. But I do love you, and at the same time, I'm trying to find a way. But I've got to do everything I can in the meantime to try and understand this. So I'm going to check my bank. For the last year, the entire year we've been together, I'm going to look at every single transaction. So I asked you 1,000 times in New York whether there was any more. And yet 1,000 times you promised me there wasn't. So I'm just asking you for one final time, promise me I'm not going to find anything. You've already admitted to smearing shit in the living room. If I find shit in the kitchen, you can't deny that bit. You can't be like, oh, what? Oh, that's a bit weird, that. I just did the living room, mate. She replied quite quickly. She'd been begging me all that day to forgive her and stay with her. But her reply to that was, I'm so sorry. You're going to find 3 more things. Those 3 things helped me in a weird way. Because it almost took the decision out of my hands. Because it wasn't just stealing anymore. It was lying and stealing and more stealing. And that just felt like too much. And I thought, even if it's just for the time being, I need to break up with her for now while I deal with this. I think I could have forgiven it if it was just stealing, because I'd done that before, and as long as I could understand it, I think I'd have been able to find a way eventually with time to get over it. And the first 2 things she bought, the trackie and the makeup, I could get my head around. The other 3 things are so unbelievably stupid. They're so ridiculous. I will never be able to understand them, and that was my big problem with them. The first 2, as horrible as it is and disgusting and all the other stuff that comes with that, I could get my head around them. I'm not excusing them or saying they're okay. By any means, I'm not. But I can understand the mentality of someone who would buy those first 2 things, the trackie and the makeup. Because I've been skint and I've had no money and truly skint. Like when I first started stand-up, my dad didn't even have internet in the house because he couldn't afford it. And I couldn't afford to pay my phone bill. I used to take my phone with no data on it, and I would go and stand outside Ladbrokes on Muirhead Avenue in Liverpool, and I would just steal their Wi-Fi, and I'd stand out there for hours applying for gigs because it's the only way I could do it. So I know what it's like to be skint, and I know what it's like to want what you can't have. And I can get my head around being in her situation and her being like, do you know what? He won't miss that 140 quid. He might not even see that I take it out because he doesn't check his bank. I'm going to get the trackie. I'm not excusing it, but I can understand how she could think she'd get away with it and that it wouldn't matter. And the same with the makeup. He won't miss that 80 quid. I'm just going to get the makeup. I can get my head around the other 3 things I will never get my head around. They're so stupid, so ridiculous. And it was lying on top of stealing on top of... If it was just stealing, like I've forgiven that before. She's not the first woman to steal from me. The first one was my mum. I was 11. It was June 2003. I remember it quite well because when we were kids, me and my little brother, he's 4 years younger, so at the time he was 7. It's quite common for us every other week to go to my nan and granddad's with me mum for the day. They'd go to Morrison's and do a big food shop, and then we'd spend a bit of time with my nan's before we went home later that night. And my nan would sometimes give us a bit of pocket money. She'd give us like £1 or something. And I remember this day quite clearly because it was a weird amount of money that I got given. My nan gave me 4 quid. She gave me 2 £2 coins. And then later on, my granddad, who never gave us money, also gave me 4 quid. He gave me 2 £2 coins. And I remember it because It was such a weird amount of money to get. It's not 2 5s, it's 2 4 quids, it's 8 quid. It's a weird amount to be given. My little brother got the exact same off them. They never gave one of us without the other. I was excited. He was even more excited. He's like, lad, what are we going to do with our money? I was like, I don't know about you, but I just want to have £8 for a bit. I said, I've got a plan. Let's put it in our money box. My dad had made us a homemade money box at home. I said, let's put it in there and let's put every other bit of pocket money we get for the foreseeable future in that, because in a few weeks, in about 6, 7, 8 weeks' time, the new Panini Premier League sticker book is coming out. And if we save this money and all the other money we get between now and then, we'll be able to get the sticker book and well more stickers than all of our mates, and we'll fill the book before anyone else. He was 7. He's very excited to just do whatever his brother suggested. And that's what we did. We got home and we put all 16 quid in the money box. And a few weeks later, I was hanging out with a few of my mates, and one of them had the new Premier League sticker book, and I just left the hangout and just went home and went to my mum. I was like, Mum, the new Panini Premier League sticker book is out. Can we open the money box, please? And can we get the money out? And can we go to the shop now? Because I can get the book and all the stickers. Can we do it now? My mum had a look on her face in that moment that I'd never seen before. I didn't recognise her. I think I know what it was now. Boss, fuck! Because she knew what I didn't know yet. What she said to me was, you'll have to wait till your dad gets home from work. He knows how to open the money box. I don't know how to open the money box. And I was like, what? It's a fucking shoebox with a hole in the top. Pass the scissors, girl, I'll show you how it's done. And she said, no, you wait until your dad gets home. I was confused, didn't understand it. My dad come home from work, and him and my mum went for a chat straight away. That was quite weird. And they came out of their bedroom, and they sat me and my brother down, and he said, look, there's no way for us to tell you this. That isn't difficult, but the money isn't in the money box anymore. We've took it out. We needed it for food, for lecky, for gas. We took it out the day you put it in because we were skint then, and we thought we'd have enough time by now to put it back before the sticker book come out, but we haven't. We're still really struggling, and we're sorry. Even though I was 11, I just immediately was fine with it. I just understood it. I was like, okay, it is what it is, no worries. I think that's what I'm like. I think that's why I struggled so much with what Roxy did, is if I can understand why someone has done something, I can forgive it. It's why I think eventually I could have forgiven the trackie and the makeup, because I can understand it. I can't understand the other 3 things. What my mum done was very different to what Roxy did. Roxy stole for herself. My mum stole for all of us. It's not the same thing. She stole so that we would be okay. And that made it okay. Or more okay. It would have been different if, like, a few weeks later, my mum had gone, Adam, look at this. I've completed the Premier League sticker book. Do you want to buy me swaps, lad? When Roxy told me about the other 3 things, I told her it was over, and I added up what she owed me. From what she stole and from money that I'd lent her for other things in the build-up to these events. It was £4,000, £4,000. It's a lot of money. And I recognised that, so I texted her. I said, look, we're done. You know we are now. And I've added up what you owe me. It's £4,000 on the nose. And I know that's a lot of money, so I am willing to be reasonable about this. You've got 3 hours to get me £4,000. If you don't get me £4,000 within the next 3 hours, I'm going to take my axe and smash your car to pieces with it. I'm not proud of saying that. That's something I'm deeply ashamed of. A threat like that, I'm not happy with myself for saying it. I'm not telling you it because I'm proud of it. I'm telling you it because it is what I said. It's the truth. And I don't want you to think I acted perfectly throughout this. I didn't. When people are hurting and they're in pain, they will say and do things that they later regret or didn't mean. At the time, I thought I meant that. I thought I was going to smash her car to pieces with the axe. I don't think I would have gone through with it, but at the time, I had a plan and everything. It made sense to me because I was with her when she bought her car. It cost her exactly 4,100 quid. And in my head, I was like, what I'll do is I'll smash her car to bits and then I'll text her and go, would you look at that? I owe you 100 quid. I think you've got me bank details if you want to take it out. She paid me. No need for the axe. I said to her, look, let's be civil now. You give me what you owe me, and I'm going to have to see it again. It's not like we can avoid each other. You've got a lot of possessions in mine, and you're going to have to come and get them, and I'm going to have to be there when you do. Because God knows what you'll take when I'm not looking. Come and get your stuff. And a few weeks later, we arranged it. It took a while to arrange that, and she come to get her stuff. And just before she was finished packing, she said, I've just put the last of my things in the car now. And I was just wondering at them, can I be a bit cheeky? I don't even know if this is cheeky, but do you mind if I'm a bit cheeky? I was like, right, what do you want now? What is it? And she said, well, you know, it was Christmas a few weeks ago and, like, you got me a lot of really nice Christmas presents and I'm just wondering, like, you're never going to use them. Can I still have the Christmas presents that you got me? Because that was before we broke up and you're never going to use them. I was like, what ones do you want? What ones do you want? She's like, well, you know, all of them, really. Like, you're not going to use them. Like, you got me a bottle of champagne. You don't drink it. I do. You got me a Dyson Airwrap hairdryer. You're never going to use that. Like, can I just have me Christmas presents? And my first thought, like I can feel from the lot of you, my first thought was, you can suck a fart out of my ass. My second thought was, I'm in the public eye. And she's got pictures of my dick. So I said, okay, how about this? Make it a deal. You can have all of your Christmas presents if I can just have one of mine. I want me Jerry Cinnamon tickets. Jerry Cinnamon was playing in Glasgow, where we are tonight. Yeah. He was playing in Glasgow, hometown gigs, Saturday the 16th and Sunday the 17th of July last year, and she got me tickets for the Sunday. I said, if I can have me Jerry Cinnamon tickets, you can have all of your Christmas presents. And she said, yeah, of course. Those tickets are yours. You can have them. And I said, okay, deal. You can have all your Christmas presents. I took the trackie off and I gave it back. And I never seen it again. To this day. I've not seen her since. Even when we broke up, it wouldn't have been possible for me to tell this story. I had to wait until I was completely over it before I did. It's very important that I waited as well. And I couldn't do that. Even when we broke up, I needed to know for sure if I was ever going to tell the story that me and her were never going to get back together. And I didn't know that yet. People break up and get back together all the time. And I'm not going to lie to you, I did question my decision for a while. That's why I didn't tell the story. Because I was like, have I broke up with a good person who just did a bad thing? Did I make the wrong decision? Should I have been a bit more forgiving? But those three things were just there the entire time. I will never understand them. How can I ever rationalise it? And I was struggling with it and umming and ahhing about making the right call. And I had to wait until I knew for sure that we weren't going to get back together. That didn't come until July. The reason I had to wait is I have to acknowledge that I'm in a position of privilege here. As funny as that may sound, given the context of the story, I'm in a position of privilege because I get to tell my story. I get to do it. I get to tell you what happened to me. She doesn't get to tell her story. She's not talented enough. The privilege of telling the story comes with the responsibility of knowing that I've got a very loyal fan base like you guys who'll come out and watch things like this and who listen to our podcast, have a word constantly, and they feel like they know us. And people like that will often act on behalf of the people they're fans of. And I needed to be able to tell my fans and my followers, whatever you do, don't contact Roxy. Don't message her on social media. Don't do anything. Don't harass her. Don't make her feel any worse than she already does. And also, if you do that, you make me look bad. And I don't want to look bad because I don't deserve to look bad from this story. And I needed to be able to tell my fans that and mean it. And I mean it now. You do not do that under any circumstances. It doesn't help me. It makes things so much worse if you ever do that. And I mean it. If I'd have told this story a year ago, I would have said that. But mean it. I think I'd have meant it. If I'd have told this story when it happened, I'd have meant all of that. Don't contact the stuff. In the same way as, do you remember when Donald Trump lost the US election? And he looked right down the barrel of a camera and went, hey, don't storm the Capitol. And I didn't want to be that guy, and I mean it. Do not tell. Do not, I mean it, do not contact her. And everyone who's seen this show so far has obeyed me and not done it, apart from one person. One person did contact her. He messaged me on Instagram, and he's like, lad, I know you said not to message Roxy, but this was too good to resist. And he showed me what he'd sent her. And I was like, lad, I told you not to do it, and I meant it. What you've done is not funny. He'd matched with her on Tinder. His opening message was, hey, girl, on what number of dates would I have to give you the 3 digits from the back of my card? It's not funny. I really do mean all of that, by the way. I mean it. I've meant everything. I couldn't have told this story unless I was over it. That came in July when I spoke to her for the final time. I messaged her, asked her, could I have me Jerry Cinnamon tickets? And she said, I'm really sorry, I haven't got them, I've sold them. She said, there is still some tickets left for the Sunday online if you want to get them, but if you do get them for the Sunday because I'm going on the Saturday. And it'd be awkward if we bumped into each other. I burst out laughing when I read it. And I am so grateful for her for doing that. That was the end. That was my realisation that I hadn't made the wrong decision. It was the final nail that made me go, oh, vindication, I was right all along. I was right. And I get so much more out of this breakup than her. I got the privilege of telling this story, and I got my life back from being with someone who was not good for me. And she lost someone who I think was quite good for her. So I got a lot. And she got some Jerry Cinnamon tickets, a juicy trachea, some makeup, and 3 of the stupidest things that anyone has ever stolen. I can get my head around all the other stuff. I can get my head around the tracking and makeup for the reasons I said earlier. I can get my head around the Jerry Cinnamon tickets. I can get my head around the hair getting to July and go, I'm never going to speak to him again. I'll just have them. Fuck him. I can get my head around her being that dismissive after a breakup. I will never get my head around her using my money to buy her dog a birthday cake. I blew the candles out for that little cunt. I will never get my head around her using my money to take her mum and dad to a virtual gun range. Her dad's 72 with Parkinson's. The one I will never understand, the one I will never be able to get my head around. I will never understand her using my bank card to order her mum a have-a-word jumper. I don't think you truly understand how fucking insane that last one is, you know. Have a Word is not just a podcast, it is a business, it's a company. I own 40% of it. Dan, my co-host, owns 40% of it, and our producer, Carl, owns the other 20%. So she took my money and very kindly gave me 40% of it back. She gave 60% of it to two of my closest friends. She ordered it from haveawordpod.com. And if you order the merch online, it takes up to 28 days for delivery. The jumpers were under our bed. I fucking posted it!
So many songs about you. I forget your name. I forget your name. Jennifer, Allison, Philippa Sue, Deborah, Annabelle too. I forget your name. Jennifer, Allison, Philippa Sue, Deborah, Annabelle too. I forget your name. Upon the tears you weep, so cry, love it, cry, 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 cry. Oh, Kathy, oh, Allison, oh, Philippa, oh, Sue. You made me so much money. I wrote this song for you. I wrote this song for you. Jennifer, Allison, Philippa, Sue.